everybody, welcome to another episode of Bronson Rants, and today I want to talk about indies becoming the next big thing. You're probably like, well, what do you mean by that? There are plenty of AAA games, there are even some mid-tier games still. Yeah, indies are popular, but it's not like they're going to take over. Well, I think there's going to be a shift in the industry soon. I'm just going to get right into it here. The more I look at the industry, and the more I look at the releases coming out on the 8th generation of consoles, and the more I look to the future, the middle of the mid-tier game is going away. It's just disappearing. It's either you are one of the biggest fish, an established franchise, or a new IP with a lot of hype, be it Watch Dogs, be it Bloodborne, something like that, or you're an independent studio working on a limited budget, making a great game for less money. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a mid-tier game be a big hit. And part of that is because of the way indie games are being perceived. Like, it used to be like indie games back when Xbox Live first started and the 360 came out, were like Cloning Clyde and Geometry Wars, and they were like these fun, like $5-10 experiences. They were kind of neat. But as the industry grew, they grew into bigger, full experiences. And now you have games like Guacamelee and Axiom Verge and Gone Home, who are some in cases traditional, some cases not traditional, but full-fledged titles for way less money. I would personally rather buy, 4 games like Guacamelee than one Battlefield Hardline. That's my, because you get more value out of it. Like, Guacamelee was a 15-hour game with a great art style and music and combat. It was just an amazing game. And, it was $15, and it was cross-buy, too. So you get all these bonuses. Then on the other end of that, you think about the cost to develop that, and it was, like, the cost of Guacamelee is, like, maybe 1/10 a game like a Battlefield or the new Mortal Kombat is. And, like, why pay, if you're a publisher, why are you going to pay for a game like, let's say the new Battlefield didn't do super great, let's say if that was their story, like, why pay, millions of dollars, like millions upon millions for this huge team to charge $60 for this game and for it not to do well? Or were you going to pay like 1/10 of that for a smaller team, making chances are a higher quality product because it's a passion product, and have it come out and do really well and not have to recoup as much money and have a higher chance of making a profit? And part of the problem is development has gotten too expensive. Game development is super expensive. You look at games like Destiny and GTA and even Infamous and Killzone and Halo. Like, they have the budgets for those games have gotten so overbloated. Like, you look at a game like Watch Dogs, like how mediocre that game was with the budget. With the budget Watch Dogs had, it should have been far more successful. Like it should have been a more polished, higher quality game. And it should have sold a lot better than it did, but it didn't. And then you go look at Transistor, who was 1/3 the price, probably once again, probably 1/10 the cost. I don't have exact numbers in front of me. And you look at it was winning all the types of Game of the Year awards. It was the best indie game of the year. It had this wonderful, colorful art style and this great story with this interesting combat system. And you're like, well, why would I pay for Watch Dogs when I can pay 1/3 the price for this far better experience? And the AAA experience isn't going to go away, but the middle tier is what's falling out. In 2009, Demon's Souls was a mid-tier title. Like, it wasn't super AAA, but it wasn't indie, and it did really well. But less and less of those games are coming out. I can't remember the last time a mid-tier title blew me away. I guess it would have been Danganronpa on the Vita, but I can't remember the last time it was on a console that did that. I guess Wonderful 101 would be a good example. But they're getting fewer and further in between, and it's creating two markets: the big AAA blockbuster that's the biggest fish, Halo, Mortal Kombat, a Batman, Destiny, Grand Theft Auto, like these big names, and if it's a new IP, they're gonna fucking ram it up your asshole. Very similar to Bloodborne. Like a game like Bloodborne, like the reason that game became a AAA title was because Sony put all their money behind it and said, we need this to do well. And then the other side is going to be indies. It's going to be, Hap's passion project, Axiom Verge, where it's like one dude making this game in his spare time by himself for 5 years. Or a game like Transistor, where it's a team of 10 people. Or, Guacamelee, like these smaller teams making these more creative, more ambitious games that cost less money to make and are just as entertaining, and they're cheaper to buy. And like I said, that there's a market for both. Like games have gotten so big that like, oh no, I don't want my blockbusters to go away, or I love these indie hits, and like the only person who's getting hurt is the person who likes the middle tier. Like if you liked Demon Souls, if you liked No More Heroes, if you liked Shadows of the Damned and Spec Ops, like those are the kind of games that get hurt by this. Like the Yakuzas. It's more niche titles, because niche titles have, like, they're not as cheap as indie games. They're not as expensive as a AAA title, but they're close, so they need to make near AAA money, and a lot of them won't. So those developers either end up getting all put on, like, the Final Fantasy 15 team, like, oh, you're the 10 artists who worked on, the Disgaea games. Well, you are now in charge of the hair in this new Final Fantasy. Or you're going to be put on smaller independent teams. And I don't consider this to be a bad thing. And I think indies are going to be what's going to be the bulk of gaming in the future. I look at the way PlayStation 4 is running. Like, PlayStation 4 has the perfect playbook set up for the future, and the PC obviously does, where it's like, okay, the majority of the release calendar throughout the year is these really high-quality independent titles. Your Axiom Verges, your Shovel Knights, your Bastions, your IDARBs, your Tower Falls, Resogun, things like that. And throughout the year, you'll probably get like 6 to 10 big tentpole releases, be the multiplayer exclusives, like Bloodborne and Batman and The Witcher and things of that nature. I personally am kind of glad for this, because it's going to encourage creativity, because those smaller budgets with smaller teams means they can take bigger chances, because it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to break Sony to be like, yeah, we're going to like fund this weird little Metroid project that's like run by one dude. If it flops, well, it's a couple $100,000, which for them, that's a drop in the bucket. Like, yeah, it still hurts, but it's not like, oh god, the order tanked, we are millions of dollars in the hole. So something akin to that nature. And especially with the AAA market not doing well this past year. Like, you look at the AAA market, like, Master Chief Collection released super buggy, Assassin's Creed super broken, Call of Duty kind of broken, Battlefield super broken, Dragon Age not too broken, still had issues. Even the Order of middling quality. I disagree with Nick's review. Most people who played it tend to agree with me that the game was of middling quality. And you have these, and like, once again, I could pay $60 for the Master Chief Collection, which up until, let's see, it came out in November, so up until 4 months after it came out was a broken, buggy, horseshit mess, or online at least, and then single player, well, they're good, but they're short. Or I can pay, 1/4 that cost and play through something like The Walking Dead or the Borderlands collection, or, what was another big indie game fairly recently? Like, Axiom Verge just came out. You can pay 1/3 the cost for that. And I'm really, and even the general public is starting to shift. Like, it used to be I'd log onto Xbox Live and I'd log into PSN, and outside of a couple of weird exceptions, like a Castle Crashers or Super Meat Boy, it'd be like, Madden, Halo, Uncharted, Madden, NBA, baseball, Infamous, like all just big tentpole titles. But now I log onto these systems, and part of this is because of games with Gold and PlayStation Plus. I see people playing Child of Light, I see people playing Ori and the Blind Forest, and I love it because once again, those studios can take chances. The people that made Gone Home made a 2-hour, 3-hour game that was $20 that was about like coming back home from a trip in Europe and just exploring an empty house and seeing what your family was up to for years. You know, some people liked it, some people didn't, but it's experimentation, and I love that experimentation aspect. Is it for everyone? No, but they will have your title still. Like, you people be like, indies are gonna fucking ruin everything. No, they're not. Like, you know, no one is gonna like hold you down and shove Gone Home into your eyes until you fucking love it. Like that's just not gonna happen. What's gonna happen is like Guacamelee is gonna come out and The Last of Us is gonna come out, and some people are gonna like one, some people are gonna like the other, but as long as they both keep selling and have an audience, they're gonna make more. You know, so I don't know. Like, indies will inherit the earth, is what I'm saying. It's just a matter of when, and even when they do inherit the earth, the AAA audience isn't going away. It's just changing. Anyway, this has been Bronson Rants. I'll be back next week with, I don't know, something. Or not next week, 2 weeks from now. Enjoy What the Hell. It's back. It's cool. Bye.
Access granted.